The current news in Nigeria today, even though we are not supposed to be at work like Russia and Korea, is the daily reckless wastage of humans. Now, from those of us that have been watching, we now discover that the constitution that made the governors of the respective states as chief security officer is becoming a joke, because a governor that you call chief security officer does not command a fly. Now, the security personnel in his domain is not under his command. And the man who is at the head of the security situation is not reporting to him. And so there is the possibility that one day the commissioner of police is here, the next day he is out of that place without recourse. Now, the governors on their own sometimes spend money to equip these police through various intervention funds. And we have heard reports where governors of each state, they intervene in equipping the police by way of training, capacity building, and without the governor's knowledge, of course.
Army Command, who said that Kuje Escapee, Idris Ojo, has been arrested. So yes. Let's discuss about that. Let me flash the video right now so that the audience will watch the video. Let me play the video and listen to what he said.
But of course, because of certain, investigations were still carrying out, I had to, on the last count, change my mind in that. Otherwise, I would have brought them here for you to see them. But I'd like to say that in due course, you will see them. Not just those ones, but of course, those who have been at the heart of very daring attacks, those who have turned themselves to men of evil to put our nation under the kind of desperation that we have had in the past few months. And for the purpose of this interaction, I'd like to read out their names. And as I read out their names, let me say that it's not just only the armed forces that were involved. The DSS, the police, and of course other intelligence agencies were part and parcel of the effort to apprehend these criminals that have put us and did the nation on the toes. On the 7th of August, Idris Ojo, who is 32 years old, was apprehended at Ayetoro C in Ondo State. He is one of the high-profile Islamic State in West African province terrorists that escaped from Kuje prison.
The issue is this. What's it called? A Catholic Church was attacked in the month of June. And Kuje prison was broken into, from what I discovered on the internet, it was broken, there was a daybreak in the month of July. If this man is saying that Idris Ojo, who was apprehended, was among those who carried out this dastardly act in the month of June, while the prison was broken into in the month of July, does it mean that the prisoner left the prison yard and went to a war, committed the act and returned to prison before they break the prison in the month of July? It's a bit confusing. I seem not to, it's not very clear to me, because government has not been truthful. Government has not been sincere with the people of the country as far as these security matters are concerned. For too long, we've been suffering, abysmal. The degree of suffering we've been subjected to is unquantifiable. Now, for an army officer to come and tell us this contradictory story, in my opinion, it doesn't paint a good picture of the future. Frankly speaking, I'm confused. I'm still confused. Let's give Mr. Julius chance to air his opinion. But as far as I'm concerned, the story is not clear at all. You need to supply more information. Did this guy left the prison, went to a war, committed the atrocity, and returned to prison before escaping? This is what we should try to iron out.
Well, I also heard him, I think, on channels, and there is a bit of confusion there. And sometimes I want to blame it on those who write the scripts. You know, from media perspective, the officers who are in charge of giving out information, sometimes they are not even the script writers. So people just hand them scripts and they go ahead and put it here. You see, there is a miscalculation there. I have seen a situation where an incident happened, and because people could not connect the dates that are convenient for them, they just put it there. For me, it's a poor outing for you not to get your facts right. Nigeria is not the only place that I've seen it. I've also seen it elsewhere, and I've seen it in most media where they roll out information with proper date checking, and they contradict themselves, and later they apologize. Now, sincerely speaking, the man who read out that information, I think whoever scripted it for him, I think he should go and hold that person very, very responsible for him to come with information that is not logically connected. But all the same, the man who read it out, he has his own share of the blame. And I want to believe that in future, the government spokesman, I'm talking of Gaba or his partner, Mr. Adeshino, I'm sure they will come back later and do some kind of damaging control. I'm not holding brief for them. During the Trump presidency, I've heard things like that too, where an event, the event they were reporting contradicted themselves with the date that didn't link. And it appears they were in a hurry to put out information there, and they didn't get their facts connected, and the excitement of saying we arrested someone, and it goes. Now, if you take your mind back when we were growing up in Benin, if you remember the Babangida must go. Now, you will discover that after the whole thing, and they were just patrolling in our neighborhood, Teddy Sekula or Mutala Mohammed, and lo and behold, they swap on us. We have to escape. One of us that was caught, when he got to Gashua, because that was where he was taken to them, they said, yes, you are the people that were shouting Bangida must go. He said, that one said, we were in our neighborhood, though, just playing draft and all those ones. So what am I trying to say is that where there is a major event, anybody caught without cross-checking, they just lump it on him and say, yeah, these are one of the people. And I want to believe that those who apprehended that chap, they did not even bother to check when or what incident happened. So at that particular time, everyone that they caught is now a member of Kuje Jailbreak. It's a hasty generalization. is at the heat of excitement, they want to put a story on the newsstand, and they come up with something that is not too correct. So that's my take on that. It's a poor job of public relations.
Well, in my opinion, I don't think an army officer of his status should commit such unpardonable blunder. As I said earlier on, the government has disappointed the people in a number of ways. The reasons behind it, that's another topic of discussion another day. He did not quote any date. Mind you, the army officer did not quote any date. But the issue is that Owo massacre took place in the month of June, while Kuje prison was broken into in the month of July. If
I agree with you. Yes, I'm telling you that he was reading a script. Did you notice?
No, well, an army officer of his status should not be reading this kind of things from a script. He's telling us what happened. There's no need for a script writer to guide him. Assuming the script writer says that he should be executed for our massacre, that he himself, the army officer, should face a firing squad for, for our massacre, will he read it?
Well, for me, well, if you have worked in government circle, I have been. I'm not holding brief for him. I have been privileged to work in government circle, and you will just discover that the thing that will be handed over to the governor to read, you will discover that it was one poor guy at the one poor corner that actually authored it, give it to his superior, and the superior will just pass it on, give to the next one until you get to the director of press. That one say, who has it been checked? Say, yes, sir. You are sure? Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. The person looks at it and says, okay, let it go. And so you see, out of laziness, so those who have been passing the buck without checking, they just put the something there. It has happened several times. And you know, the man who read the script or who was giving out the news, he wasn't here. He has aides who put it together. And let me tell you, sir, when there is, for example, in Federal Executive Council meeting, you'll see that when the minister will sit, behind them, the permanent secretary. Even close to the permanent secretary, there are some top officials. And so when things are going on, you see them looking back and say, and they are passing notes across. And you ask, say, what about that? That's something, say, this is it. Sometimes when a discussion is going on, they'll be asking the permanent secretary, what is he talking about? And that one will say that. Now, I have an opportunity to be in such a position where the big boss asked my own boss, and my own boss turned to me and say, can you come up with something? I said, okay. Then I opened my file. As I opened it, I gave, he said, summarize it. Give me a brief. Come on, give me a brief. And I took out my writing this, I said, that is it. And he went there and looked at it. And he spoke from the brief I gave my Oga, which my Oga gave to him. Okay? Now, from that brief, if I didn't know what I was doing, I could just pass some wrong info there, or some saturated info, and that is how it is. Like I said, I am not holding brief. I like the Western world. I have seen many leaders in that position in Western country. They will say, I don't have the facts yet, but we will come back to you when we have all the facts. There's nothing wrong in it. If this thing is just hitting you, fine. I'll give you an example too. I remember Soyinka was on a hot seat, and they passed paper to him. He said, I am reading straight from this paper. So let me just read straight from it, but later we can digest it. And he read straight from it. I remember that they say, I am reading straight from this paper that was just given to me. So we will put it there. Later, we ourselves will go and digest it. So there is nothing wrong. What I would have advised the officer to do is for him to wait and do some cross-checking instead of coming to put the cart before the horse. That's my take.
Anyway, the issue is, you see, in Nigeria, we have too many bootlickers. I'm not saying it's a bootlicker, but a country that is flooded with bootlickers, it's just a laughable matter. I don't know where to begin. The issue is this. He's saying that, it's incomprehensible. That's just how I see it. I'm not a press man. I've never worked with news medias before, but I don't know how they go about their things. But I just feel it is proper for a military officer. He probably must have attended Sandhurst or Aldershot or West Point or Teshi in Ghana. I mean, must have attended one of these fine military schools to attain his rank. It's just proper for him to cross-check facts before, appearing before before talking to the press. And one thing I noticed is that they could not bring the photograph of this boy or the people they alleged to have caught for the public to see. This is one of their tricks or one of the games they are playing in the country. In fighting security, they will tell us, oh, we've bombed hell out of some people in Maiduguri. We've killed the leader of XYZ. The bodies of these people, you'll never see it. Where they were buried, you'll never see it. The scene of the operation, you'll never see it. How they carried out the operation, you will never know. That's just what they just dish out the information because that's what they felt the people will like to hear. Now, people, Kuje prison was broken into. Fine. Or it's bad enough. It took them almost 2 weeks, or even roughly 2 weeks, to publish the photographs of those who escaped. I have my doubts because any inmate in any prison, his biodata is with the prison authorities. So immediately there's a prison, what's it called, break. If the prison is broken into, this information should be released instantly on the social media. And it will take a very, minimal effort to reassemble these escapees. But that is not what they did. They gave these guys enough time to infiltrate, to permeate the country before the information started coming out. As regard their photographs. The question I've been asking is, assuming they collect the photographs of dead men and publish these photos, or people to look for this, so-called escapees. How will it, it's not a remote possibility. They can do it because we've lost confidence in government. Whatever government says, we no longer have, we just feel they're telling us stories. And these are empty stories, just to placate us, to calm us down. Because a lot of things are happening as far as the security matters are concerned. At Kuje prison, a number of them were there, hundreds of them, for over 10 years, as they are telling us. If it is true or not, I don't know. Some have been there for over 10 years. What are they keeping them there for? Why can't they take them to a maximum security prison? Why do they have to lump all of them together? Because when they are lumped together, they have time to strategize. They contact their mates outside to launch an attack, or to launch attack to free them. Assuming one is in Abakaleke prison, the other is at Ikoyi prison, one is at Saple Road prison in Benin City, the others are in Kirikiri, some are in Enugu, some are in Saple, some are in Benue. This attack would not have been possible. So you see, government, from the look of things, have been playing tricks. They've been playing games with the people. And this very much, I mean, why did he not bring this guy? I mean, he should show this guy to the outside world to see. Or is there pressure on him, stopping him from disclosing the identity of these guys? He's telling us that in future at appropriate time, when in future will be appropriate for him to bring these guys for the whole world to see. So you see, we are in for a very big trouble in Nigeria. Unfortunately, as I've been saying, the country is already at war, but we do not know. People do not know that Nigeria is already at war. When the civil war started in the East, when Ojukwu declared his republic, Gowon thought that he was joking. The first set of people they sent there to suppress the operation were police officers. They were all killed, as I was told. I was a small boy then. When the information got to Yakubu Gowon that they've all been killed, because according to him, it's police action, but then they started sending military men to the East, and we slided fully into the Civil War. Now, on another program, I cited an example with First World War. When the Archduke Ferdinand of Austria was killed in Sarajevo, June 28, 1914, nobody ever knew that the death of one man will plunge the whole wide world into a catastrophe. Because the stage was already set and people did not know. There was colonial rivalry, arms race, signing of secret treaties and alliances, and so many things happening behind the scene that set the stage for the First World War. But people did not know. But when they killed that guy, the Archduke Ferdinand of Austria, the whole world was at war. And that war was catastrophic, one of its kind in those days. Right now, in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we are at war. But people are refusing to acknowledge that we are at war. The best thing we have to do now is to extinguish what is going on right now so that it will not become a full-blown war. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's what I would call a low-voltage war. We are still fighting now. When it becomes a full-blown war, Nigeria will become a nuisance to the human race. So this is how I see it. I'm not impressed by what this army officer is telling the world about a war massacre.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you because there has been issue of credibility because over the time we've been hearing what people sometimes refer to as audio achievement without you seeing it. They say, oh, it's just audio, no evidence. And with that, if what they are saying is a fact or not, because of a lack of credibility, people no longer believe it. Although sometimes we were told that display of slain enemy is not a good journalistic practice. I don't know. So that was why they always hide behind that to say once you defeat an enemy, that's the wars against terror. Say you don't need to be displaying a scene of a battle where there are human lives lost and so on and so forth. But hey, I remember we had to do intense search to see the scene of what happened in Abu Dhabi, that's in Pakistan, when Osama bin Laden was taken out. We thought we were going to see a live video of, a real coverage. But it took years, or rather it took months before we were able to get it. We now say all those pictures, or rather video taken, where were they? They say at that time it was still confidential. If you remember, it was not, in fact, the actual shooting scene, which I know that there were embedded reporter with the seal. We didn't get to see it for a long time before. In fact, the footage, I still have not seen it. We have searched and searched and searched, and it appears to me that the military, they are not too eager to display battle site with slain or killed human. Maybe is their way of doing something. I don't know. So
anyway,
but your point, lack of credibility is taken. I agree with you
there. So many people have lost confidence in the government of Nigeria, and no matter what they say, it doesn't make sense to them. It's business as usual. More so when they are not even making progress. They told us they are going to buy Tucano jets to fight the criminals. The jets, after paying a huge amount of money, unquantifiable amount of money, they brought the jets, and the problem continued. Now they'll be telling us that these criminals or the bandits or whatever they call them, they are hiding in the forest in northern Nigeria. As far as we know, the whole of northern Nigeria has no forest. What they have is savanna grassland. There's no forest in northern Nigeria compared to what you have in rivers, Cross Rivers, Benin, on those states. There's no forest in northern Nigeria.
For me, I don't think it is the issue of jets or whatever. What we lack, to the best of my knowledge, is out of intelligence gathering. You see, these people, they are hiding among civilian soft targets. If you say you want to use jet to hunt after bandits, are they the only one that will be killed? They are amongst them. But in a situation like that, what I expected, all this what I've been saying, is to increase our capacity for intelligence gathering. Where there is intelligence gathering, you can fish them out. Look at how they are laying ambush to security and other people. It is because they appear to be good at intelligence gathering. They know what is going to happen. They know movement and so on and so forth. They go there, they lay ambush. That's one. Then two, don't forget that they are not standing army. With due respect to the average northerner, if you see him dressed, you can hardly know whether this is a normal person or is a terrorist, because sometimes they dress alike. Okay, and so it is only when you have good intelligence network that you can trail and you just take them out. So that is it. Each time, when I first heard of that Tucano jet, the first question I asked myself, I said, these terrorists, are they operating a standing army? In daytime, they are with us like normal people. When they want to go into operation, and that is it. And the culture in the north, to some extent, is not helping matters. I have lived in the north before, specifically in Kano State. Now, there are the way and manner they build their house, especially in the old city. These are places that vehicle cannot actually get to. That's one. Then two, they have a way of covering themselves that you may not be able to distinguish between one malam, as we normally call them, one malam to another. Okay. Now, the one who tied his turban, cover his nostril and all those ones, if they are all moving together, what will you do? How will you even differentiate? There are some who will wear such enough and put a gun under. Even the females too. We have heard story of how the female, especially those ones that will cover up and use it to smuggle things across. Who will dare go and search a female? You want to search a female who is dressed like that, you're asking for trouble. So these are some of the thing. And at a point we were even told that anyone that gives information about them, that there is a reprisal. Don't forget that these are people that don't have respect for human life. Men suspecting that you are the one that gave information, they go there and wipe the whole of the family in a very brutal manner. And they say it's a signal to any of you who want to cooperate with the government. Oh, yes. So these are it. And again, we also heard the story of them infiltrating the army, and some of them that were caught, they even caught them with military fatigue. Where did they get it from? It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot of issue. It's only when they come down south that we easily identify them, because fortunately, a southerner outlook, disposition is quite different. So you can easily pick it. But when you go up north there, with their way of life, with their dressing and the rest, it's difficult. Where am I going to? I'm saying that this war, we may not be able to win this war with Tucano jet or whatever jet, because the people you want to fight, they are people you cannot easily identify. So how are you going to shoot a jet from the air? In fact, there was one story too where they said a jet bombarded a civilian dwelling in Katsina. I say, if you see terrorists, it's not written on its face that it's terrorist. From the air, you may not know, except of course you have credible information that they gathered at a particular place. But even at then, it is drone you should use. That is if you have. And I've taken the Minister of Communication to task. I said, all these people, they make call. How come that you've not been able to trace them? I don't know how big is Kaduna say. I don't know how many forests that are there that you say those who the train kidnappers, they are inside here and they are releasing people, bit by bit, and you cannot apprehend them. I don't understand. It's a whole lot that we do not understand.
Yeah, you see, the case of Tucano jets, it is clear they cannot fight or win this war with the use of fighter planes. If you remember the Vietnam War, in those good old days, the Americans lost. After fighting the gruesome war, they lost.
Do you think Pentagon will ever agree that they lost?
They lost. Ahead, sir. They went back home. When they got home, they went back to the drawing board, find out why they did not succeed. And having done that, they realized that guerrilla war and conventional war are not the same. It was then they resolved to develop intelligence gathering. The act of intelligence gathering started after Vietnam War. And also their air power was substantially developed after Vietnam War. So what they now do is, anywhere they have problems, they send spies there. When they gather the information, they bombard them from the air before they send foot soldiers to invade the place. That is the tactics they are using now. Now, in Nigeria, how possible is it to gather information? When I was a little boy, I wasn't little though, I was a high school student in Benin City during the days of Lawrence Anini. it was clear that Anini was conniving with some police officers. But how
ASP Yamu.
The DSP Yamu and other guys, but Yamu was the main culprit. So they sent people like Pari Osayande from Lagos, Chris Omabe and others to map out strategies on how to bring the situation under control. And they discovered that they were, I think in English they call them fifth columnists between the people and the police force. They transferred all the senior police officers out of the state and brought replacements. It was after then they were able to grab Anini. Now, I'm saying this because intelligence gathering is very important when people are conniving to offend the state. But in the course of gathering information, people are also suspicious of the state. When people don't have confidence in the state, you cannot get information from them. There has been a lot of cases whereby indigenes in localities supply information to government agents, the police, soldiers, or what have you. And at the end of the day, the bandits will come and tell them that what you told those guys, we are told that you told them that we are XYZ. There was a killing, a mass killing somewhere in Borno State, where they massacred some people on farmland, beheaded them, and I have the video somewhere, I can't remember. Now, the issue is that the Nigerian intelligence community, how reliable are they? Can you trust them with any information? If the answer is no, then this war is not winnable. We cannot win the war. Because one thing is certain, even the Tokano jets they bought, if they tell you how much they paid, you will not believe that we bought these things with such huge amount of money. And at the end of the day, it is not useful. Do we use our best brains at all to map our strategies on how to bring the situation under control? The answer is no. So we should be prepared.
The communication people will come up. Oh, poor Miss Sarah of that time, I think that's her name, who will come out to go and be explaining the storming tweet that he gave. I think we just got used to this. But thank God there are independent media, and I'm going to check, later tonight. Oh, the news at 10 has started. I'm going to check, and I'm very, very sure that there are going to be independent media that will poke it straight to their face and say, no, this one is too obvious. It cannot connect. And the next thing they will tell us and say, oh, you were taken out of context, you were misquoted, and so on and so forth. Of course, we have seen live broadcasts that later came back and denied and said no, so and so and so. Let's move on. We know all those ones. Let's move on.
These people, Nigerians are very intelligent. Are they dealing with animals or they are dealing with intelligent people? Nigerians are very intelligent. You cannot come on national TV, be playing your incompetency. Honestly, I don't see any. These people, they are just playing with us, to be honest. Like what you said, that we are used to it. But we cannot normalize this type of attitude from the government, coming from the government. It's not a normal thing. So we cannot ignore it and say that we have used to this system and we just overlook it. We have to
How intelligent are we in Nigeria? I'm asking these questions because the kind of things we swallow, hook, line, sinker in Nigeria, other African countries don't take it. I've lived in many African countries. I've been to many African countries. I've met a lot of Africans in different parts of the world. The kind of things we swallow in Nigeria, other Africans don't take it. It's only in Nigeria.
I may give you a reason. Okay, go ahead.
It's only in Nigeria, you don't have water. So if you need water, you go and drill a borehole in your house. If you need electricity, you go and buy a generator. If you are sick, you go to a private clinic. If you want justice, you go and get a good lawyer or you go and bribe a judge. If you want, there's nothing absolutely. If you need electricity, you need to buy a generator. There's absolutely nothing the government is doing for anybody in that country. Yet, we worship our leaders, we revere them, so much so that we're even ready to worship them if need be. But in some other African countries, take it or leave it, they don't give their people, their presidents or their governments such wide latitude of freedom to mismanage their lives. It is true most of them don't have resources, so they take that into consideration in their dealings with government. But in a country like Nigeria, with all the resources, what are the PhD degree holders doing in the country? PhD in law, sociology, anthropology, social anthropology, you name it, in all fields of what's called human endeavor, in all disciplines. Yet the country is so badly managed, and we could not harness our intellectual powers to bring the country under control. So how serious are we as a people?
Well, you say, how serious are we as a people? From a historical and a sociological point of view, we are not a people, but we are peoples. I want you to distinguish that we are not a people, we are more of what? Peoples. Now, the quote and unquote, the docility of Nigeria, of Nigerians, I think basically from the background of disenchantment. That's one. Then two, because of the way our country is structured, where everything appears to be flowing from one source, there is a possibility that when you speak out against a regime, you may have just sentenced yourself to economic prison. Then thirdly, we have a way of doing our own alignment. For example, if Oshomole, for example, is the president of the country, I'm sure you know that there is nothing he will do that a patriotic, quote and unquote, a patriotic Edo will say it is bad. Because as far as we are concerned, oh, he is our own. And it can be widening faster. If it's a hanger on, they're able to say, no, he's not just an Edo man. See him more as a Bende man. And so that means the Delta man will see him as part of their own. And they can expand the network, say, no, not just Bende man. See him as a son of the South-South. And it will expand. Now, if he goes, everybody from South-South, comprising about how many states now? Maybe 8, will say, oh, don't worry about that. And so criticism will not be there, if you understand what I mean. So these are some of the things that that will happen that will make the average Nigerian is not even interested in criticizing. He's just interested in leading his life and fend for himself. Just as you rightly said, what does the government, provide? The reason why I've always been supporting ASU strike is because government always some people in the government corridor always say, let people pay for education. And we say, no. If people pay for education, what is it that the government has provided? In my community, for example, we are the one that put funds together to do some palliative measure on the road. We are the one that bought the street light. We are the one that did this, even the drainage and so on and so forth. Then we say, if you cannot give us education, then why are we paying tax? So I think that is the reason why most people don't even have time to even estray the government. Because an attempt to estray the government, there is a way there is a way that it may come back to you and harm you. Okay, now for if you look at the country very, very well, and which I have told people, I said, keep your political thought to yourselves. They say, why? I say, because when you speak against a candidate and you are outside your zone, don't be surprised that it will have some negative effect. If you remember in 1993, after the annulment of June 12, the activities of Chukwu Mirije, do you remember him? The then information minister. The activities, the activities of Chukwu Mirije, place the Westerners against the Easterners right here in the West. And so it was like, so your brother is conniving with Babangida and so and so. It's altercation. And I remember then, because we were in Benin then, and you see flight, movement from west to east, just because of that. And so during the last election, or the election before last, we were all living witness when a prominent traditional ruler was attempting to intimidate some people from certain quarters. And for those ones now, going out to exercise their vote became an issue. And also, even now, I was always warning them. I said, look, for those of you who are obedient, we are not matured in politics. If you are in the East, you can conveniently obedient. If you are not in the East, be very, very careful so that you will not be profiled. You will not be profiled and say, okay, these are people who are not supporting our people. What is the meaning of our people? That is to say, your own preferred candidate, you expect that everybody in that domain should speak in his favor. Anyone that is not speaking in his favor is something else. I hope you got my drift. So these are some of the reasons why even those who are supposed to speak out against the government are not speaking. And lastly, there is a joke that is always going on that intellectuals, those people you say PhDs, those who are intellectuals, they don't even command respect again. The reason is that before the last election, who are those conducting it? Who are the returning officers? Are they not the university dons? They are the university dons. So those are the people who are even in charge of the electoral system that return this despot to power. And so what are you talking about? And so that is it. And criticism in this part of the country is not taken like that, but instead it becomes something else. And that is why people just felt an attempt to criticize the government. Who is even taking note of it? And even if it happens, for those who don't know how to take criticism, there may be a backlash. If, for example, I remember when they took up the president, they said it was quoted to have said the one section of the country only contributed 50%, and he said he's not going to do anything there. If Nigeria is truly a federated country, any state can ignore federal and say, well, you can do your thing, I do my own thing. If a state is progressing economically, they will be viable. But in a situation where every task, every that goes to Abuja before it comes back, they'll say, in that case, let us be careful. If those states is in charge of the economic activities back home, You can tell the federal, say, do your own, I do mine. Okay? For example, now, whatever anybody is talking in Washington, D.C., if the governor of California state said, you are talking your own, I'm talking my own, so be it. Because he will not wait to call the DC before he can grow his economy, because the system permits state to grow within its own pace. And that is why when I tell people that in the United States, there is no unified system of government. A state is different from either or political.
Mr. Julius, you know that
Yes.
the South leaders or the Southern leaders the other
Yes.
time called a meeting to discuss about decentralization. So if you can still remember a few months ago, no, not a few months ago, that was quite
that's the one they call Asaba Declaration.
No, that was early last year. Early last year, I think so. After the Edo State election happened. So they gathered together and invited the president, where they were demanding for federalism, the system of federalism, the devolution of power to states to manage their resources.
Yes.
So, you know, even Okowa was the spokesperson that day. These people, they were not firm enough. We were criticizing them, saying that we can't see any action from them. They just gather together. It's like, you know, what is this? There's no action attached to their statement. So, you know, this exactly what you are saying now is what they were demanding for. And all of us want this system of federalism that will give power to states to manage their own resources, generate their internal revenue. But those who are demanding for federalization, look at Okowa now, who was the spokesperson on that event. It's not the VP. So Atiku Abubakar. So do you think that these people will still continue with this their demand? No. No, we don't think so.
Well, I don't think it's so. If you know the political arrangement of Nigeria, the demanding for restructuring, I think that is the word that they call it. Those who are making a presidential pronouncement, governor pronouncement, it dies there. Those that are responsible for changing the current system is right in NAS, National Assembly. That is where they should go. How many times has any governor used a senator from his state and say, oh yeah, go to the floor of the Senate, go and put this bill forward? But they've not done so. Now, there is an issue there that I must let you know. The southern states want true federalism. The northern states don't want it. You can quote me. They don't want it. Now, this thing started from 1957 when a southern delegate moved for independence. And the northern delegate said, no, we will get independent when applicable. No date set. All right. The point I'm trying to make here is that the system favor certain group of people, and those people appear to be in majority, and so they may not do it. I remember very well when Fashola was governor of Lagos State. He was a strong advocate of true federalism, especially state police. Now, when he became a federal minister, people say, he didn't even talk about it again. I said, you will not talk about it because where he is not an elective position. The day he talks about it, the following day, the man who appointed him will relieve him of that position. It's as simple as that. I say because by now he is at the center, he knows there are some particular, or there are some group, or there's a section of the country that this current system is favoring. I think it was in World War II. I don't know whether it was MBA that were doing the program. And yeah, I think either Attorney General of the countries of various states, sorry, not necessarily Owo, but in Ondo State, Akeredolu was there when he raised the issue of state police. Malami still came back with his logic and so on and so forth. That is because he is holding brief for a section of the country who said they don't want it. Now, I want to quote, and that is where the presidential candidate of APC will have to take note. I have sent the video to him, or to people who are connected to him, where Shetima was quoted. We see how the video where he said to hell with restructuring in a strong term. If Nigeria have this, you know, what is restructuring? To hell with it. And that gentleman is a healthy person, a strong voice. For those who match that man with the presidential candidate of APC, one day I was asking myself, I said, this very strong man being a presidential running mate to this man in terms of agility, strong voice, and calculating, I say, I hope that people are seeing a bigger picture with this match. So be it. And I pray for Asiwaju. I pray for him very, very well. But the man who they chose for him, or the man that he has chosen, that is a strong northern voice. That is another Idiagbon match with Buhari. That is a voice behind the scene. And I do not know what may not happen. Now, the point we are making here is that insofar, we have 36 states. How many states are in the southern Nigeria? How many states are in the northern Nigeria? If that thing is taken to parliament and all the northern states vote against it, that is where it ends. That is the reality. Now, sometimes some people will tell us, don't worry, we will have the support of the north-central states, which we sometimes call the middle belt, that is Benue, Kogi, and which other one, maybe Plateau and all those ones. And I told them, I said, well, those ones are already at the jacula of the core north. That when issue like this come, they themselves, they will need to think twice. They will say, okay, where exactly do you belong? And people will tell you that during the Civil War, who are those at the forefront? Just take away Murtala Mohammed. Who were the rest? The officers that actually fought the Civil War, people like Paul Tafa, Danjuma, Bisala, and all those. I said, these are middle belt officers who are even closer to the south. So those are people who were used to say, okay, we didn't see recall northerners, commanders. And so sometimes before restructuring will happen, you may need to do a little bit of horse trading. And what is this horse trading all about? You may need to find a way of convincing the average northern political class and say, look, we are not going to let you lose completely. Because they know that restructuring means everybody manage the resources at your backyard. And these are people who are used to tapping the resources in down south. And you think they will give up that one so easily? You have another thing coming. Don't forget that these people on their own, naturally, they are brave, they are outspoken. And
yes, I'm afraid of the future. That is one of my concerns in this matter. Because if we compare what is happening in Nigeria with what is happening or what has happened in other parts of the world, you will discover that the future certainly is not bright. Let's take South Africa as an example. When the white men got to South Africa about 400 years or so ago, that was when discrimination started. They were dilly-dallying until 1948, when apartheid was made the official policy. It was official government policy when the National Party came to power. We all saw what the black people went through, oppression. And with bare hands, they were able to bring down that structure called apartheid. Stone throwing children of Soweto and others that contributed in bringing down apartheid. It was bloodshed that brought down apartheid. In Zimbabwe, it's the same story. Their stories are they are linked. When Ian Smith and others declared their UDI, Unilateral Declaration of Independence, they were operating the same apartheid style of government, although they did not call theirs apartheid officially. With the backing of Britain, they were able to operate apartheid style of government in southern Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe. The blacks rose up and they were able to bring down Ian Smith's government in 1980. In Liberia, where the Americo-Liberians, as they call them, the freed slaves in America were relocated to West Africa in 1822, because they were coming from outside, from America, they saw themselves as civilized people. The Liberians who welcomed them and settled them there, they decided to oppress them, treat them as slaves, and even carted most of them away as slaves to Fernando Po and Sao Tome and Principe to work on plantations in those areas. It was a very nasty story. In 1847, they were granted a nominal independence by the American Colonization Society. They continued with their rubbish until 1980, when Samuel Doe came to office, toppled the government. And when he toppled the government, I think it was on April 14th or 15th, 1980, 14 or 15 top government officials, ministers, legislators were publicly executed at a Barclay firing range on the beach of Monrovia. Because in the morning, they were all sent to hell by firing squad. For the next 10 years, Doe battled with the Americo-Liberians till the country slided into a civil war. From 1980 till the end of the war, it was 25 years, which the Liberians are trying to recover from today. There are many instances all over the world, in Africa, of oppressed people eventually gaining upper hand over their oppressors. This problem Nigerians are battling with right now is a feudal problem. The North is a feudal territory. They believe in feudalism. And the way they operate is that feudal thinking that is, guiding whatever they do. And that is what is governing the whole country today. When we were little children, there was a group called Kaduna Mafia. It was just a clique mismanaging the country. When the country developed, become more sophisticated, they now expand the membership of that group to include other ethnic groups in the country. Yes. So these are the people mismanaging the country today. We only know of Nigeria of today. We don't know of Nigeria of tomorrow. We know Nigeria of yesterday. We know Nigeria of today. But what Nigeria will become tomorrow, nobody knows.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, exactly. You know, we'll continue with this discussion. Maybe tomorrow. Not tomorrow. When again? Tomorrow is Wednesday. Thursday, I will be available. On Thursday, we can continue. But tomorrow, I won't be. Maybe Mr. Kojebe will continue. But for me, we have to log out now. We have been here for a while. So thank you, Mr. Kojebe. I will call Mr. Julius. Um, let's see if people left some comments for us here. Not so much today. So yes, I'm going to end the program now. Thank you all for watching. If today is your first time of watching our program, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, like our page on Facebook. Mr. Kojebe will come back tomorrow or on Thursday, continue with our political analysis on Lembo TV. Thank you all, and have a wonderful night. Mr. Kojebe, thank you.